Good morning and welcome back. This is going to be a good one. I'm really excited about this video. This is going to be about how to develop your intuition. Something I have a lot of experience with, and something I've had a lot of experiences with. You see, as you develop your intuition and you learn this for yourself, there are things that you might experience that you didn't think were possible. There are things you're going to experience that seem to be beyond the human experience, mystical experiences. You're going to have many of these things for yourself that you used to think were not real. And before I go any further on how, intuition is a little different for everybody. There are obviously a lot of similarities, but different in the sense that everybody has different gifts. Everyone has different types of abilities that will develop easier for them. And while you're practicing intuition, developing your intuition, you're going to be shown, these gifts are going to be revealed to you. Some people are naturally good singers, some people seem to be really good dancers. Like, there's everybody that has a certain kind of a talent, right? That seems to be easier for them. Well, intuition is the same way, and it will reveal a lot of your gifts to you. So let's get into this here. Intuition is developed very simply, very easy techniques, but your mind is going to be the main thing that's going to get in the way. Okay, you might get bored. Your mind might say, this is silly, this is not working, I'd rather do something else. Developing intuition requires you to be able to look past anything that your mind suggests you should be doing instead. It requires you to also look past what your mind is telling you is happening. Your intuition is a new sense. You're going to be developing something new that you haven't really experienced yet. So your mind isn't really going to be that useful here. If anything, your mind will say, whoa, what was that? And it will probably go on this mad search to figure out what just happened. And even that, which can be a lot of fun when you have these experiences, can take you away from the actual point of developing your intuition. If you follow your mind a bit too much, if you go a bit too much on the, oh my God, that was exciting, then you might stale, you might pause your development for your intuition and fall into, you might just stop your progress for a while until you can lose that excitedness and then start developing it again, which is fine. Sometimes that excited energy is the motivation you need to keep going into it. So anyways, enough talk. How do you develop your intuition? Well, you can do it a few different ways. Each way requires the same type of technique. So you can use an object, or you can use yourself. Either way, there's you, the subject, the watcher, that these experiences are being observed by, and then there is a focus, a point of focus that you need for your development, something for you to focus on. So you could use a crystal, for example. I'll just use that as an example because it's very common. You can also use a flame. That's very common. And what you do with the practice, the way you practice developing your intuition, is you, for example, if you're using a flame, you stare at the flame. And you're going to notice your mind is going to come in with all kinds of blah, 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 blah. You just let your mind talk. You're not interested in what the mind is saying. You're open to to what you feel, not necessarily, not an emotional sense, but you're open to something new. You're open to something new. You want the truth of your experience. So if you're staring at the flame, you might just focus on staring at the flame, being open, allowing any new experience to come into you. That's an important state you need to be in, because you want to be alert, very alert, because anything could happen at any time. And the thing is, with your intuition, when you first start doing this, you have no idea. You have no idea what's going to happen. So this sense of wonder comes over you. Nothing might happen too. You might practice intuition for some time and nothing might happen for a little while. But then suddenly, boom, something beautiful comes out of the experience that you didn't realize was possible. So it takes a lot of patience. So you simply stare, and that's why I said how you do it is very simple, but there's going to be a lot of things that come into your mind and a lot of reasons that your mind is going to make for you to stop. And that's the difficult part for most people. And it's no wonder this stuff is not easy to develop in today's world, because we're so interested in things that are instant gratification. We want it now. And so you want to maintain your awareness on that flame, for example, if that's what you're using, for some period of time, and just look past everything your mind is telling you. And at some point, you're going to notice some subtleties inside of you in your experience. It might come as a feeling, it might come, and I don't mean emotions like sadness, none of that stuff, okay? None of the stuff that you know, but something is going to happen within you, in your inner experience, okay? Something's going to happen that is new, is different. And again, when it does happen, you have to be careful not to be too excited about it, because the minute you become excited about it and start focusing on, oh, what was that? You're going to notice it's going to disappear. See, your mind and how excited you get about what's happening is what is going to block it from coming. So this is how you develop your intuition. You have to allow the mind to just get out of the way. You know, you don't use the mind in this. For example, one time, I have quite a few experiences that I've had in this. I heard my girlfriend calling my name in my mind clearly, and I didn't know what was going to happen. This moment, this specific one, I was just in myself. You don't necessarily need an object. You can develop your intuition by just watching your inner being, just observing what's going on. Not necessarily focusing on anything, but just being aware of your inner state. And that opens doors to things in a subtle realm that you might not be aware of because your mind is too noisy. Okay, so I heard my girlfriend call my name, Danny. And I walked over to the washroom and I said, hello? Yeah? Yes? And she looked at me and she's like, what? I didn't call your name. She said, I said it in my head. I was going to call you, she said, but I didn't call you. And I was like, whoa. So a little bit of clairvoyance. And I've noticed I have the ability oftentimes to perceive experiences before they happen, especially if I open myself to the ability of it. So that's one thing, a gift that I realize I have. For me, in my experience, it's mostly just before. So I kind of know what's going to happen before it's going to happen. In an intuitional sense, I have this intuition, this gift of clairvoyance, which is interesting. And I got carried away by how exciting it was at first as well. So you could focus on another technique. Let me give you some other methods here, okay? You could focus on, let's say if you put a stone in your hand. If you read about the magical properties of certain stones. Bear with me, I'm going to give you quite a few examples. I do this all the time. This is my life. So you can hold that stone in your hand, and you know that every object that is around you vibrates at a specific frequency. There are actual changes being emitted by this object. So your physical body is actually going to experience some subtle changes by holding this crystal in your hand. Okay, this stuff is real. You might not believe it, but if you practice for yourself, you're eventually going to see things for yourself. So you're going to notice that you're in the sense of your body, you're going to notice some subtle changes. Your mood might change. And again, these are very subtle. You have to be quiet. You have to be able to look past what your mind is telling you it is. So you're going to notice maybe a mood change. Maybe certain memories come back to you. Okay? Maybe certain sensations. Maybe you might start actually feeling a subtle vibration from the stone. Okay? And at first your mind is going to tell you this is all BS, nah. Just stay with it. Okay? Sometimes it takes years to do this stuff. So when you're using a physical object, it has an effect on your body, and your mind will try to interpret it. Okay? So that's the process as well. When you hold, for example, or when you smell something, again, you're going to notice the effect. So let me give you an example. We know that essential oils are good for your health, and they have certain types of effects, like calming effects, being able to help you sleep better. Some herbs like mint can help you feel more alert. So the body has the ability to tell you what these these certain things do to you without you having to read it in a book. Because if you take a flower and you smell it, your body will subtly tell you, will change in a subtle way. And when you can tune into that subtlety within you, you'll be able to see the effects of it. Because the effects that you're going to experience due to using smelling a herb, is going to be similar to what other people feel, but on some level, it's going to be a little bit different. So you're going to have some differences, either in degree or something a little bit different than another person might experience for the same type of flower or the same type of oil essence or whatever, essential oil. So that's why it's a good idea that when you buy a new essential oil, that you spend some time with it and try not to have any other scents around. So using the sense of smell, which is a very powerful way to develop your intuition, sit there and smell it before you find out what it is. Okay, it might be difficult if you buy it from a store because it's going to be written right on it what it does and so on. But you sit there and you smell it and you observe the changes in your body. How do you feel? Are you more alert? Do you feel more calm? Does your mind feel more agitated? Okay. What are the types of effects that you're feeling? And you might want to write these down. And this is a very good idea when you're first developing your intuition, is write some of the things down that you experience. That way there you can go back and you can see, okay, your progress. You can see what is real, because sometimes your mind will try to tell you, oh, this and this, and then your mind will want to believe that. So the part of when it comes to developing your intuition, a large part of it is learning what your mind is telling you and then learning what actually is happening. because your mind wants to be the master here. It wants to be, this is a very exciting thing. So your mind wants to be the one that is dictating everything. It's going to want to take control. It's going to want to brag to people. It's going to want to tell these stories. It's a big deal for the mind. So, yeah. So using your sight, okay, is one way. Using a candle, for example, looking at an object, smelling an object, as we just talked about, which is a little less subtle, a little bit more powerful, probably easier to start with. Holding objects, feeling them. I talked about a little bit earlier. Stone, for example. Let me give you more examples about sensations. You could use a plant, for example, and you might feel the leaf of this plant. And while you're feeling the leaf of the plant, you're listening to the inside. You're inside. It's hard to explain what I mean by your inside. It's not an emotion. It's not a thought. It's your intuition. It will come, and the more you practice this, the more you'll see it. The more you'll be able to observe it. So you're just sitting there. You might feel it. And how you go about discovering, there's no right or wrong way. You don't have to just hold it, or you don't have to rub it. Just let your intuition guide you. Okay, let your inner voice, your inner knowing just take over. If your mind tells you to do something, it might not be the right thing. Just if you find yourself reaching for the stem, don't question it. Just reach for the stem. Allow yourself to just do what is happening. Okay, and just watch. And you're going to have certain types of experience. You're going to have certain knowledge about this plant downloaded to you. You're going to have this understanding that the mind doesn't understand, okay? So that's sensation. And another one which is available to you always, no matter where you are, is simply your inner experience. Not looking at, here, let me give it to you this way. In one of the books that I read, they recommended focusing on a point in space that has no mass, nothing. It's just focus on an empty point in space that is nothing, where there's nothing there. And I don't mean like right here. I mean just in your mind's eye, you imagine a point with no mass, that has nothing to it, an empty point. And you try to imagine that. You don't visualize it, you don't make a picture of it in your mind, you just put that in your mind and just imagine it. It's very difficult, this stuff, when you first start. And the first thing you might notice is you get quiet. When you focus on this infinitely small point of nothing. You might hear sounds that weren't available because your mind was too busy. And in this single pointed awareness is where you're going to have a lot of your gifts shown to you. So for me, this is the most exciting one. This is the place I like to develop the most. That single pointed awareness. Very simple. You're going to have certain types of information given to you. You could say by your guardian angels or whatever. You're going to have certain types of experiences that you didn't think were possible, basically. And give me 1 second. Jackie, would you mind going in the room? I'm filming a video. Or So, yeah. So I would really recommend the majority of your time that you spend in your developing your intuition, in focusing on that last technique that I explained, kind of more that single pointed awareness where you're not really focusing on anything in particular, but you're bringing your experience in, because you're going to have a lot of guidance, you're going to have a lot of knowing about your path in life, you're going to have a lot of wisdom downloaded to you, you're going to be shown and given a lot of for you, what is for you, your right path, what you need. It's going to be almost like speaking to yourself, but to your higher self from the other dimension, from the spirit world in a sense. And it's not going to be in words, but it's as though you open the door there to the gifts that you've been given to use here. You're going to have certain recognitions, certain things will happen to you that you just don't know how you know, but you just, they'll come to you like a shock, like an explosion sometimes of downloading of information that, I don't mean information in a book, just this instant knowing, pow, your mind will be shattered. You won't be able to comprehend what's actually happening to you. And these experiences are so powerful that they will change your entire life. They will open up a doorway to a land, a dimension beyond this 3D world that for you will be now real. That for you will be an experiential reality. You won't have read this in a book. You'll have been there yourself. Okay? You'll have had the doors of it open and you'll have seen inside for yourself. So I'll leave you with that. The most exciting adventure that has been in my experience as a human being. Have fun, have fun, have fun. Remember to put the mind aside. Okay, what your mind tells you, it's probably not what it is, okay? Very, very important. This is a new ability, a new sense you're developing. So thank you, wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Peace.